Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So with the announcing of my rebranding the Valiant series video that came out last week, I think by the time you guys are watching this, no, the week before last, by the time you guys are watching this, I decided that there's covers that are in the Valiant series that you guys will never get to see. So let me explain. So basically the way that this has gone is when I was signed on with a publisher, I had covers, bought the rights back, and I stupidly decided to try to do my own and realized I'm not professional. I need to actually hire somebody. So I hired a friend of a friend for a discount and managed to do the main Valiant books, and we did the whole thing. And then I realized those didn't fit the genre, and I learned more about cover designing and how epic fantasy covers need to look, and that designer quit on me even though I have more that I needed done. And so I decided to find somebody else, and that's the rebranding. That's why I'm doing the rebranding, which I probably should have explained in the rebranding, but either way, the covers that I have now are super professional. I love them, and I'll link to the rebranding announcement video if you haven't seen it so you get to see the new covers. And why not just go ahead and show you guys a quick glimpse of these new covers. I'm so excited about these new covers, you guys. They are so gorgeous, and for the first time I can look at them and feel like they actually fit in with other professional fantasy books in the genre. So we're just gonna do they look so good. So we still have some work to do with my designer where we lighten my name and the title so that you can see them in the thumbnail, because as of right now you can just see the titles and that's it. But either way, they're so professional. I'm excited. I'm just gonna run through them really quickly. Hunter, Shifter, Samurai, Assassin, Rogue. So those are the new covers, but because I did buy the main Valiant books from my other designer, I have those covers, and you've already seen Hunter, Shifter, Samurai, Assassin, and Rogue, and all the short stories. Those covers, because I published them, and you've seen those, the old covers for those. But I have covers for, Survivor, which is Valiant Book 7, and the rest of the whole series that will never be published and will never be released. So for this video and this video only, I am going to show you guys the covers for the rest of the series that will never ever be shown again. Like, I'm not releasing these are just gonna stay here and never be seen again. So I'm gonna tell you about them, I'm gonna break them down, but because of that, this is also a title reveal for the rest of the series. So you guys are gonna get a special exclusive inside look at the rest of the Valiant series following Rogue. So Rogue is Valiant Book 5, and the next book after that is Survivor, Valiant Book 6. Yeah, I think I had the number wrong, but either way, so let's check this out. And again, I'm doing this because these covers, they did get designed and they do deserve to at least get seen, basically, so that's what we're gonna do today. All right. So this is Survivor, Valiant Book 6. These are the old covers, so again, we went with people designs, and this represents the main character. Now, I can't talk about it because Survivor, the entire premise is that 50 people go into a game and only 2 come out alive. Now you may think, oh, that sounds like Squid Game. Yeah, I wrote this a long time ago. I did it before Squid Game, and it is based off the TV show Survivor, as well as the teenage version of that was on Nickelodeon a long time ago called Endurance. So this is like Survivor mixed with Endurance, and I did it before Squid Game ever did it. So yeah, I'm very excited about this book, and it's Valiant Book 6, but because I left readers guessing as to who the main character could be, I cannot talk about who that is, but it does represent the main character, so I'm very excited. And then the short story companion, now these, I labeled them incorrectly. It says short story ending, but they're not actually endings to the book. All of the books in the Valiant series do have proper endings. I'm not like money grabbing. These are just like post-credit scenes that take place after the book ends, to set up future plot lines for when all the heroes come together. It's like a Marvel thing. And so that's what short story ending. They're really companions, but they do follow the previous book, and so that's what I mean by ending. And so I'll get to show you those covers as well. So this is directed, the short companion to Survivor. And again, this does represent one of the other main characters that I can't talk about due to the fact that you're going to go to all the characters' perspectives in Survivor, and I leave readers guessing, so you have no idea who the main character is. Next is Remnant, which is Valiant Book 7. So Remnant, Warrior, and Enslaved, the next 3 Valiant books are very special because in them, corruption is jumping to 3 worlds at once. So the timeline, these are taking place at the exact same time. So the Chosen decide to split up. And some of them go to the world for Remnant, some of them go to the world for Warrior, and some of them go to the world for Enslaved, because these books are all happening at the same time, timeline wise, which is really exciting. So you get to see different plans and stuff. So this is Remnant, and I can talk about the main cover, the main character in this one. This is Raith. He is a winged person called an Azathan. They are a magical race that live on this world, and I'm super excited. I actually worked on this when I went to college, and so the world building was actually what I was going through in one of my college classes. We had to build a world, and so I used this story because I had the series planned, and so all my assignments that I did working on the world building, I did for Remnant for my class. And so it's got an industrial kind of 1920s feel to it. It's very, very different from my other books, which all have a medieval fantasy style feel. So this one feels a little bit more industrial. I love this story. It actually parallels with the story of Samson. So yeah, I'm super pumped about Remnant. And the short story companion to it that follows Remnant is Restored. So yeah, and that's Raith again. And then Warrior is Valiant Book 8, and again, Warrior, Remnant, and Enslaved take place at the same time. So this one is another cover, and this is supposed to represent Cinia, I think her name is. It's been a while since I've talked about some of these books. So basically, this is another Mulan retelling. So for those of you who know me and know this series or are familiar with it, know that Hunter is a Mulan mixed with Hunger Games kind of retelling. This one is full-on Mulan retelling. She is a daughter when they're supposed to have sons, and so she gets drafted into the army, and she's not disguised, but it's very similar in the sense that she's a woman in an army full of men. She's drafted in there, so it's like her training and recruitment and trying to learn the army at the same time that they're about to go to war, and it's super fun. I love this story. I love Cinia. I love all the characters in it and the friends that she makes. I love her squad, and I love the general in this book, Rothon. So that's Warrior, Valiant Book 8, and then the short companion to it is the main guy that is with her, which I can't talk about. I don't want to spoil that, but that represents him. So Enslaved, Valiant Book 9, again, Enslaved, Warrior, and Remnant are taking place at the same time. So the bad guys split up to corrupt these different worlds at the same time. So the Chosen do as well. So some go to Remnant to help, the Remnant's world to help Raith and find him. Same with Warrior and Cinia, and then same with Enslaved. So Enslaved is just full on the story of Esther, just a fantasy version story of Esther. So the main character in there, I want to say Jacinda or Jacendi, I can't remember how exactly her name is pronounced, but she represents Esther and is taken to the palace to try to be a royal and all that stuff. So it's very, very fun. I loved it, and it's a very creative world with 3 new races that I invented that are very different, and culturally I built them really heavy-handed, so I'm super excited about this one. And then there's a dual storyline, so I'm starting to get other worlds in the storyline, but some of that may be cut because I haven't edited these books yet. But anyways, that's Enslaved. The short companion to that one is Freed, and again, that's one of the guys that are featured in this book that I can't talk about. So Immortal is, okay, we are getting a little sketchy here, but Immortal is a Valiant prequel book, and it is about a man named Jace who was born in 209 BC on Earth, and he lives to 2019 in modern times. That's Immortal, which I'll show you that cover in just a second. But because in that one it's about an archaeologist finds his journals, and so it's primarily about his journals. But there are some journals that I skipped, so this is like Immortal, the Lost Journals. It's a companion to Immortal, and so this was going to be the cover for that. Alright, Experiment is another Valiant prequel book, and this cover is one of the ones that I'm actually going to miss. So basically, long time ago, I released the Valiant series on Wattpad. So the whole series was free to read. A lot of them was released as I was writing them, and you know, chapter by chapter, and the readers would just binge the whole series. Assassin got featured, so they got thousands upon thousands of reads. All the readers loved it. They were so addicted to the series. So I know that the series is so good, and I'm so excited for you guys to buy these books. But I did have covers that were Wattpad covers, and they weren't very good, and so I found this image, and it still had the little stock sign on it, and I just put it, and it just looked really crappy. But when I was working with the designer who designed these, I managed to find the actual stock image, buy the rights to it, and I asked her, can you use this? And she said yes. So this is the main character in Experiment. It's technically the story of Tehran, and he's one of the chosen that you guys will see featured in other Valiant books, the earlier ones. Which one is he the first one featured in? I know for sure he comes into play in Rogue, and you get to meet him in Rogue heavy-handedly. Yeah, I think Rogue is the first one. Assassin and Assassin's short story ending. Some of the short story companions, the post-credit scene stories I told you guys about. Tehran and Jace and Aiden are like the first chosen that are already there by the time Hunter is taking place. So this is his backstory. And he was basically taken to a labs and experimented on. It is one of my favorites. It actually was one of the first ones after I wrote Hunter. I wrote Experiment, and Experiment sucked. I mean, it sucked bad. It was like written, I was a teenager, like it was after high school, but my writing was so bad, it was like a 10-year-old could have written the story better. So years later, when I got accepted by the publishers, I rewrote it, and I rewrote Mortal, because Mortal was another early one that just sucked. And I love the rewrite so much. The character and the plot line completely changed, and the whole concept completely just turned around. Like, I did not plan any of that. So now I love the rewrite, and it's one of my favorite books in the whole series. And again, I love this cover because I'd always envisioned this representing Tehran and everything that he goes through. So yeah, that's all I can say about that one. So finally, we're at Raider, which is Valiant Book 10, and this is one of my favorites. It needs a lot of work and rewriting, but it is about a pirate named Pierce, Captain Pierce, and we're back to the world of Eos, and so Eos is the world where Assassin takes place. That's where Aiden's home world, and Aiden and his story in Assassin, Valiant Book 4, they try to help save Eos from corruption. But in Valiant Book 10, this is the first book where all of the chosen heroes come together for the first time. Obviously, they're together and battling and separating, like in Remnant, Warrior, and Enslaved. They're separated. Raider is the first time you have all of the previous heroes together, and they're fighting. And so on Eos, corruption tries to corrupt it again. And you have a pirate named Pierce, and he sails on a pirate ship that becomes a character of its own, basically, in the entire premise, title, meaning, heart of the series. I don't know how to call it, but essentially the pirate ship gets renamed the Liberty Valiant, and that's the ship that the heroes use to get around everywhere across the galaxy. And the Liberty Valiant is the ship name that literally the whole title comes from. And I love it so much. I love Captain Pierce. He is a pirate through and through. But this one is another dual POV where we go to two different POVs, but two different worlds. So the other half of this story is the story of a vampire on a world that is run by vampires where humans are almost dying out, and so they're running out of their population of blood, so the vampires are starving and the humans are rebelling, and it's just a really dark, fun world. But it's huge contrast where you have this technologically advanced planet ran by vampires, and then you have this medieval fantasy world about a pirate who sails the seas, and it's just a fun book. You have the chosen coming together for the first time to battle darkness. The war begins, and I love it. I'm so excited, and this is another cover that I adored because this is Pierce. It encompasses everything I loved about it, so I'm very excited, and I'm gonna miss this cover and Experiment. So next up, we have Wicked, Valiant Book 11. This is another one. I am in love with this so much, and I'm definitely going to have this incorporated in the new version with my new designer, because this is the heart of the story of Wicked. Wicked is the darkest of the Valiant books, and this is The War Begins. This is the Avengers Assemble moment. All of the chosen characters are here, and we go back to every single character's perspective. This story is told through every single chosen character's eyes. All of the plot lines, all of the plot threads that have been set up in the post-credit scenes come to fruition here. All of the plot lines that were left kind of a little bit dangling in the previous books, they all come together, and you finally get the continuation of the story for all of the chosen characters that you've fallen in love with as you've been reading the series. There is a world that is corrupted. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's heartbreaking. The war begins, and you have thousands upon thousands and thousands, millions of troops of darkness versus the chosen, and they're battling, and for corrupted, the war begins. So that's Wicked, and it's dark. It is very dark because corruption is here, and it's taken a world. Like, you finally, for the first time in all these other books, we've seen corruption try to take worlds, and we've seen what happens when they do, whether they win or lose. But this is the first time you get to see what happens years after they win a world, what happens to the world after it's been corrupted for a long time. So Paladin is another Valiant prequel book, and it actually takes place on the Chosen's home base, so to speak. After the Chosen go with Raiden, they stay on a world called Nassyria, and those post-credit scenes I was telling you about, the Valiant short companions, those all take place on the world of Nassyria. So this is the background of some of the characters in Nassyria, their people and their world and their history and stuff like that. So this was one of the main Paladin general, essentially, was who is meant to be on the cover here. So now we have the final two books in the series, Defiant, Valiant Book 12, and Divine, Valiant Book 13. So the fun fact about Valiant Book 12 and 13, when I wrote them and when they were released on Wattpad and up until the time that I decided to publish them, they were just called Valiant Part 1 and Valiant Part 2. Then I realized, oh crap, they need a title, like an actual title. So that's when I went with Defiant and Divine. So I'm still not used to the titles yet because they'll always be Valiant Part 1 and 2 to me. So I can't really talk about who's on the cover for these, but basically the main hero, my Jesus character, and then the main villain character, I don't remember which one is which. So yeah, that's basically Jesus and Satan, essentially, my parallels of them. So Raiden and the Dark Master, I'm so excited, and I love it. I am going to miss these covers a little bit, but that's the final two books in the Valiant series. And then Averell, this was a short collection of all the stories that take place on the world of Averell. If you guys haven't seen that, if it's still up for sale, I'll put it in the description below. But I should have taken it down. I had it up for Black Friday. It was the only time you guys will get to buy this. So Chosen is a collection of short endings. So these are the post-credit scenes that take place on the world of Nassyria that set up the plot lines for later in the Valiant series. Those are all going to be compiled into one book that I'm going to release as a collection, and this was going to be the cover for Chosen. This, I love it because this encompasses like the world of Nassyria and like, you know, the main world and like where they are and stuff. So I really loved the way this looked. Delivered. So now we're getting into some of the collection books that I had planned. I want to put Mortal and Experiment in one collection, The Broken Chain, because they Mortal and Experiment take place around the same time, and the same villains are in them, so the Mortal and Experiment are actually connected, like the same plot lines going on with both of them. And so I want them in both of the collection. That makes sense, and the whole chain's like breaking free, the freedom, that is the main theme. Hero, Wicked, and Paladin. So Wicked is Valiant Book 10 or 11, and Paladin is basically kind of like follows that, but goes back in the past, and so there's interconnections that happened before Valiant Book 12 and 13. So Wicked and Paladin having a collection together called Hero. Wanted to do that. Hunter Special Edition. This was going to be the cover for the Special Edition. Immortal Special Edition. This was going to be the cover for that. Immortal, a prequel to the Valiant series. Here we go, guys. This was going to be the cover for Immortal. That is Jace. I found the stock images that have him in 2 different ways, and it just encompasses everything, so that's another one that I'm going to miss. And I may actually release this as a unique thing, I don't know, special edition or some sort of something, because it is gorgeous. I love it so much. So that was going to be the cover for Immortal. It shows Jace, and it's everything that he is. And then Mortal, this was the other cover for Mortal. So Mortal and Immortal are both prequels, and they're both about Jace's story, just because he is so big, he has to have a lot of books. Rebels is a companion to Hunter, so you guys have probably seen that one. And then Redeemed is a companion to Hunter, which apparently has the same cover. And then Redeemed, this was supposed to be Redeemed, which was going to be Jared. Jared's story is spread throughout, like his backstory, and other ones are all spread throughout different books, so I want to compile them into one and add some more scenes and give you guys an exclusive new chapters and scenes in his story that we've never seen before, and compile it into a book called Redeemed. So that was going to be the cover for it, and that was obviously going to represent Jared. And I think these are just, okay, so I was going to also put the Valiant books in collection, so you get books 1 through 5. This was going to be the cover for Valiant books 6 through 10. So it kind of features the main characters from books 6 through 10, obviously, which would be Survivor, Remnant, Warrior, Enslaved, and Raider. And then 1 through 5, obviously, we have, it was supposed to be Hunter, Shifter, Samurai, and Assassin, so I guess we went backwards, so it was Hunter, Shifter, Assassin, Samurai, and Rogue, so it was all mixed up, but essentially it featured all of the ones. And then Defiant Divine, finally going to be put together, and that's called Valiant, because again, Valiant Part 1 and 2, so I am planning to do a collection of those in one book and call it Valiant. And yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this little glimpse at all of the old covers for the Valiant series that are never going to be released, never going to be published, but I felt like they deserve to get seen at least once, talked about, and at the same time kind of tell you guys about the series and like the rest of the books, and like, you know, basically give you guys title reveals for the rest of the series, so you guys know what's coming, you guys know what to look forward to. At the moment, I am editing Immortal, and I'm getting ready to rewrite Survivor. So Survivor I had to delay till fall of 2024 because I have to rewrite the whole book, and then after that I do hope, part of my goal is to rewrite Survivor. We'll finish editing Immortal first, rewrite Survivor, and then edit Remnant next year as well. So that would be Valiant's book 6 and 7. So yeah, which again are Survivor. So that's the one I need to rewrite, and then Remnant is another one I want to edit next year. And at the moment, I am editing Immortal. So yeah, so hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did like this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you liked this video, then please check out my announcement of the rebranding, where I go over the new books, the new book covers, and you guys may have seen them in this and you guys may have seen them in this video, but I break them down and talk about the reasons and all the details of the covers and what they mean, and the metaphors, and the metaphors, they're so amazing, you guys. So check that out, you don't want to miss it.